Hey guys, in this video we are going to learn about API, specifically UiPath Gmail API, and using that UiPath Gmail API, how you can send emails we are going to see. So I'm going to go through step by step so that you will be able to do it at the end of the video. You should be able to send an email to somebody, right? So how to set up everything in detail, I'm going to talk about it. So let's get started. Okay, we'll go step by step and I'm going to write it over here. Just follow the steps and you will be able to, at the end of the video, you should be able to send an email to someone. Okay, so here I'm going to say steps. So what is the step number 1? So the step number 1 is we need to install a package called Google Workspace package. You need to install the Google Workspace package within UiPath Studio. Let's do that quickly. Go to UiPath Studio, go to manage packages, go to all packages, and here you can type Google Workspace. It was not working for me. I'm going to type G Suite, G-S-U-I-T-E, G Suite. All packages, official, let's see. Yeah, so go to official in case you are not able to find it. In the official, I am able to look for Google Workspace. Try it out. Okay, Google Workspace. It was maybe some kind of inconsistency on my studio. So this is the package. You need to hit on install and hit on save. I have already done that. This is your first step. Okay, what is the second step, Rakesh? So once it is done, our second step would be we need to configure the console.cloud.google.com. So we have to go to this site and there are several steps you have to do in this one before you could really utilize APIs, Google APIs. So let's go to console.cloud.google.com. So let me type it again, console.cloud.google.com, hit on enter. Okay, so this is the page. You should first sign in to this specific page. Okay, so once you are on this page, this page here, it will say select a project. It will be a blank project, select project. So what you do, click on this drop down and then hit on new project, okay, and here let's give it a name. What is the project name? We are doing UiPath Google Automation, so I'm going to say UiPath Google Automation project. Okay, I'm just giving a name, any kind of a name I'm providing, and location, organization, leave it as it is, hit on create. Okay, the name must be between 4 to 30 characters. I think I'm exceeding that. Okay, hit on create. So now the project has been created. Let's use this drop down and select the project that we have just created, which is UiPath Google Automation P1. Okay, this is the project I need to select. Okay, so what we have done, what was the second step? Create a new project for UiPath and select the project. Very simple. So this one we have done. Now what is the third step? These are the steps are very important. Okay, you should not miss any of the steps. That's why I'm starting from the scratch. So once you're on this, hit on the dashboard. Okay, hit on the dashboard. So I have selected the project, so I am inside the project now. Okay, so this is how it will appear. Now because my intention here in this video is to automate Gmail, so I need to enable the Gmail API. So to enable the Gmail API, intention is that, right? I need to send emails through Gmail. So how do I enable the Gmail API? Click on this the breadcrumb symbol that you see. Click on the API services and go to library. Library not to find. So we are going to library to find the API for Gmail. You went here. Very good. Now let's scroll down, slide a bit on this page. So here you find something called Google Workspace. Now here there are multiple different APIs. Because here our attention is Gmail API, I am going to hit on Gmail API and I am going to enable the Gmail API. Okay, hit on enable. Is it clear? So what is the next step I am doing? Enable Gmail API. Done. Okay, once it is done, it will take, okay, so this is should have been enabled. Okay, this is enabled. Alright, once it's enabled, you can go to the enabled API services, or go back and hit on the enabled API services, and there you find this is already enabled and it's a public API. Public means you don't have to stay inside a corporate environment, corporate network to access, but from home network, from public networks, I can access the Gmail. So no, anybody cannot access, right? You should have some authentication method. There has to be some username, password, something should be there, so that our UiPath Studio can access my emails. UiPath Studio is a different application. Now this application should be able to access my email, so I should grant him permission, right? So how to do that? Let's see. So this much is understood. Right now you have enabled API. After that, the next step is you need to create a credentials. Okay, create credentials. So create credential. Now before even you create credential, your actual step is you have to provide a consent. Consent means you are allowing UiPath to access your email. Consent, you are giving a consent. So go to OAuth consent screen. Okay, go here. Okay, so this is your fourth step. Okay, OAuth, this is important. Without this you can't. So OAuth consent screen, that means it is going to show a prompt to the user. Hey, UiPath is trying to access your email. Are you allowing it? If you say yes, that's where UiPath Studio or the workflow can access the Gmail. Otherwise, it won't. So that is why this is important, to get a consent. So that means this is applicable for attended automations, where it will prompt the user to give a consent. This is for one time. Okay, this will happen for one time. Your Google Chrome will save that you have already allowed. So every time you are running, next time it is going to. So I'm going to show that all that later. But this consent is important. So the next step is OAuth consent screen, and here you should select external. Internal is not allowed, so you'll go with external because this is a public this one. So external, hit on create. You can go through the entire description. Okay, hit on create, and then here I should give the application. So which application will be able to access? So here I am saying the application name is UiPath. What is the application name? UiPath. Support email address. Who is doing this? Mr. Rakesh is doing. So I'm providing the test my email address. So this email address will be shown in the consent screen. So what is that consent screen? I will show you. This is going to appear on your Google Chrome like this, saying, hey, UiPath Studio built by so and so Rakesh Kumar Bear. This is the email ID of him trying to access your email. So it will show everything, all the details to the user. If the user will allow, that's where UiPath will be able to do it. If not, UiPath cannot do it. This is the safest way. Okay, because you are accessing somebody's data. Okay, now app logo you can provide. I will just leave it blank. Just scroll down. There you have developer contact information. You should this is mandatory. You have to provide the developer email address. So this is my test account. So let me copy this and let me paste it, and I'm going to hit on save and continue. Save and continue. Okay, so we are working on the consent screen. All right, let's do it quick. Done. Scroll down and save and continue. Nothing you have to do on that specific page at the moment. And here it is asking add user. So who will be able to access this? I'm going to hit on add user, and I'm going to add a test user saying test Rakesh, my own email address I'm adding. You can add, all I'm trying to say is you can add other people into it, and who can also run a UiPath Studio and can access your email. You don't really want to do that. Just for learning purpose we are doing, right? Simply add your own and hit on add and save and continue. Okay, so the consent screen page settings, how you just have to go through the entire thing and just hit on as I'm doing, and you are done. So the consent screen is done. Let's go back to the main page. Okay, so the consent screen is done. So what you have done, you have created a consent for UiPath. So it will prompt user with the logo UiPath is trying to access one. So okay, fine. So now this is done. Now the fifth one is creating a credential. So I have to enter the credential in the UiPath Studio workflow so that it will use those credentials and access my email. That is required. Okay, now to give those credentials, there are multiple different ways: API key, OAuth, and service account. Okay, service. So let me show you. If you click on create credential, API key, when you hit on API key, it is going to generate a API key for you. Okay, this is the API key got generated, and this API key can be used only to automate Google Sheets. You cannot automate Google Calendar, Google Mail and all that. Only Google Sheet you can use it. So for any other applications provided by like Google, there are limited applications that you can automate, not everything, there are limited options. But again, Gmail, Calendar, Google Sheet, these are the normal ones. So here our intention that all this app I can access from UiPath Studio. For that I need to create a client ID, and the same client ID I can use it during my automation. So what is this client ID? To access anything you need a username and password. The same thing is known as client ID and secret key in Google. So if you click on create credentials and hit on OAuth client ID, OAuth means open authorization. Here I am selecting the application type is a desktop application because the desktop application UiPath Studio. Hit on create. Okay. So now what happens once you select that, it will tell you, hey, this is your client ID and this is your client secret code. Okay, I have blurred it because this is not safe to put it on the internet, but again, this is how it will appear for you on your screen. Just use those, copy that and keep it on a notepad, or just leave that page as it is, or click on OK. You can anytime, next time you would like to view that, here you have this edit button, right? If you click on this edit button, you should be able to view that once again. Okay, so this client ID acts like a username and the client secret acts like a password. This much is clear. What is the next step we have done? Let me reset it back. And what is the next step we have done? Created OAuth. Why I am creating OAuth? Why not API key? Because OAuth is the way to access any other app. There is a restriction. Only Google Sheet can be done through API keys. For other things, you should need the API OAuth client ID and OAuth secret key. Okay, OAuth, create OAuth client ID, which is nothing but your username, and client secret key. Okay, so this things is clear. Now we'll move on to the sixth step, which we are going to really work on the UiPath Studio. Okay, let's go back to the UiPath Studio and let me delete everything. And what is the first activity that I should use? All you do, just minimize all your categories of activities that you have. If this category is not visible, hit on this filter option, show categories. Okay, it should be enabled. Now here you find something called integrations, and in the integrations, here you find something called Google integrations, Gmail and Outlook, and then you have Google, and then you have Workspace. This might change in the future, doesn't matter. You can just type G Suite application scope. This is the activity you need. G Suite application scope. So once you have this application scope here, you need to configure certain properties of this activity. Now to do that, I am going to talk about one, because this is where it's very important and this is the fun part. So what are the two things we have created? Client ID and client secret key. Let's first of all, let's get the client ID, copy that, and on this window within double quotes you need to paste. Done. Very good. Now let's enter the client secret key. Let's go back to the console. Okay, how do you find? You go to credentials, and you don't have to create multiple client IDs for multiple workflows. Once it is created, the UiPath Studio will be allowed. Okay, the UiPath application will be allowed. So you don't have to create multiple IDs. So here I have created. You can hit on the edit button, which I have shown. Now let's copy the client secret key, go to the client secret, put a double quote and enter. Done. So what has been done? Client ID and the client secret key has been entered. And remember, the very important point here is you should select custom. You should not go with UiPath. If you keep a mouse pointer, if you select UiPath, it tells you if you are selecting UiPath, okay, indicates the application client to be used. If UiPath is selected, no client ID and client secret should be provided. That means UiPath, I'm going to show that later, but for the moment, because I'm using the client ID and secret key, your selection should be custom. Okay, remember this, the selection should be custom. Okay, so this is the second point. Enter ID and key and select custom. Okay, so I have shown that what they are. Very good. So this is done. Okay, this is done. Now once this is done, let me also point out there is something called authentication type. Because we are trying to access Gmail. So our authentication should not be API key, should not, it can be service account key, that is again for enterprise. Let's leave that. Let's use OAuth client ID. So this should be OAuth client ID. This can also be for enterprise, doesn't matter. But again, this is what I should be using for this one. Okay, so this much setting is clear. Now once this is done, just come out of it. Now I have to read emails. So first of all, let me open my Gmail. Okay, not this one. Let me open my Gmail. Let me see what are the emails are there. Gmail.com. So this is a test account, by the way. Okay, there's some sort of emails are there. Okay, so only 4-5 emails are there. Okay, fine. So this is my email box. Now I want to send some email. So that is my intention, right? So what I will do, I'll go to, there is something called Gmail here under the integration. Here I will use this send mail message activity. What I'm using? Send mail message activity, and here it is pretty simple, asking you to enter the recipient. Who would be the recipient? So I think I will enter the so hit on this sign or go to the properties of this activity, and it is asking BCC body CC2. So let's enter 2. This is a string, so let me enter test Rakesh. This is a test email. Do not send emails to this, I don't monitor. Test, okay, test Rakesh, it's in for you at gmail.com. This is done. Why there is an error? String cannot be converted to one dimensional array of strings. 2. So it is asking 2 to so let's try to put it in a curly braces. Okay, so put a curly braces because it's an array of this one. So this is done. Okay, very good. Now the subject, let me say test 1 2 3 is the subject. And what is the body? I will say this is a test email from UiPath, something like that. Okay, all right, so everything is set, I think, right? Everything is done. Attachment, if you want to add attachment, all these things you can see. Okay, now let's see what is that consent screen I was talking about and how this is working. Let's see it. Okay, first let's understand how it is working. So shall we debug? Okay, let's debug so that we can see what is happening where. Okay, so have a look at your Google Chrome browser. Okay, so this is where it will prompt you. So the automation has started. Okay, it's executing. Okay, G Suite application scope is executing. So whatever we have given, right, it's trying to. I'll also talk about this configure scope. Okay, I'll talk about that. So what happened? Look at this. When that executed, which step we are in? We are still in the G Suite application scope is executing. So while this is executing, before it could even complete its execution, it should prompt the user, hey, UiPath, see, choose an account to continue to UiPath test Rakesh. So it is giving that name application because we are running it from UiPath and we've given that app name as UiPath, right? So it is saying UiPath. It is asking you to choose your account. Okay, so I've chosen the account. Then it should. Okay, Google hasn't verified this app. You have been given access to an app that currently being tested. You should only continue if you know the developer. So do you see? If you have been given access to an app that currently being tested, you should only continue if you know the developer that invited you. So I am going to hit on continue. Okay, look at this, and this is the consent page I was talking about. Okay, in this consent page, if you see, UiPath wants to access your Google account. Select what UiPath can access. Associate, you have the option to select. So these are the by default. Associate with your personal info, and on Google's your personal info, including personal info, all this can be done. Now this one is very important. Read, compose, send, permanently delete all your emails, because we wanted to automate we must select this option. If you don't select, there will be an error which I'm going to talk. If you don't select, you can try that out. So you must select this and hit on continue. So this is the consent page. This is only one time. Next time when I run, this page won't show you because the Google Chrome will remember that you have already given consent. So I'm going to hit on continue. So now what is a received verification code? You may now close the window. Now I'm going to close it. Okay. So it must have sent the email. Authentication attempt took longer than 90 seconds. Okay, I was explaining you so much. Okay, let me run it again. So within 90 seconds the consent should have been provided, but it took it took a little longer time. Let me run it again. There's a limitation that we can change. So that those are advanced things, but basically you see how it has prompted you. That was my intention to show you. Now the execution has started. Okay, and completed. Oh, it happened so fast. Now let me refresh. Do you see test 123 email has come? This is a test email from UiPath. Now it did not prompt you that consent page this time. Now if I run it again, let me run it again. Now you can do all kind of logics to read from an Excel, get the data, send different emails. All the things can be done when you know how the simple things works. Okay, so see, so fast it's working. Let me go back and see if another email has come. Refresh. See, one more test 123 has come, and this all is being sent from an application UiPath Studio. From that workflow, it is sending email. It is accessing my email and sending emails. Getting it? So that was the intention. I hope from this video you must have understood and got a clarity of how things are working, how you need to set up the entire UiPath Studio to send an email using the Gmail API. Using the API, we have done it completely. I've shown step by step. I'm pretty sure anybody who was looking for a solution like this video must help you. Let me know if it has really helped you. Thank you so much. We are going to come up with more advanced topics later on. Let's learn the basics. Let's clear our our foundation should be very clear. That's where we should apply more complex logics and build automations. Thank you guys. We are going to meet in our next content. Take care. Bye bye.